Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to another show on GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations. We are talking about banks and credit card companies. We are talking about unsecured debt. Nothing to do with utility bills. Not interested in that on this. We are talking at GDPR specifically for unsecured debt, which is not a mortgage, not tied to a property, not a secured loan, not on car finance. Although that's a new matter. You want to check yours out, see for compensation. However, we're talking specifically about General Data Protection Regulations, Data Protection Act, DPA 2018, your rights and what you can do with them. This is 100% in the public. This is not I am man. This is not trying to be lawful instead of legal. Sometimes it's good to put the public hat on and be in the public when we're dealing with debt collection agencies. Why? Because they breach these data regulations every single day. They just hope that you don't know. A selection of people try to create obfuscation. What is obfuscation? It's trying to confuse you. It's trying to muddy the waters. It's trying to give people what we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. That is what you call FUD. So what they're trying to create is fear, uncertainty, and doubt when you're actually dealing with debt, and trying to like slur around and muddy around in different things because they want all the market to themselves. They want them to be seen as the actual ones that are allowed to be selling their debt solutions, blah, 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 blah. And it hurts when people put up like free items that you can actually use. You don't have to cost you any money. We were on a meeting last night. Now, this guy paid £6,000. UK pounds, for help in getting rid of credit card debts. Did he get rid of them? No help whatsoever. Did anything work? They didn't even try. Also, then what they try to do is another version of how to do something. These people have no idea what they're doing. Now, we've got case after case after case where we can show you how we've actually helped people get rid of debt, where we're actually showing you how £75,050 and a couple of pence was actually wiped off a single debt, an unsecured debt, just on one case. Not a group, it was on one debt wiped off. Plus, we've got all the other cases and the live videos that we showed when we actually went to court and still beat the debt collectors. What we're talking about here, and I'm going to show you the actual legislation. Nobody can say they own these methods. Nobody can say that this is mine, this is how I invented it. This, let's just call it legislation. It's regulation. It's not yours. It is there by the actual agencies that we can use. So the first thing is we have to look at GDPR. When we are dealing with a debt collection agency, just say you've been struggling, you haven't been able to actually pay a debt, you're in debt, you know what it's like now, isn't it? Interest rates are flying through the roof, the bills are going up, it costs more for food, gas, electricity, water, council tax. They're trying to unalive us all by putting the prices so high. And a lot of people are falling into debt, especially after what they did in 2020 and smashed all the jobs, smashed the businesses. Everybody was living off credit cards and now debt. Debt is increasing in the UK at £5,000 per second. £5,000 per second. Don't listen to me. Go and have a look on the UK debt clock. And it shows you it's increasing. And I'm not talking about mortgage debt. I'm talking about unsecured debt. £5,000 per second. That's a lot. Over £2 trillion of unsecured debt in the UK. That is horrendous. And it's increasing terribly. We need to help people that are struggling through no fault of their own. They didn't actually shut everything down, did they, in 2020? They didn't hike up all the utility bills, did they? They didn't increase all of the interest rates, did they? So they're struggling through no fault of their own. So don't criticize people that have ended up in debt. Article 15 of GDPR, I'm going to show you it now on a screenshot, and it's not my website. This is a GDPR website. And it's showing you what you're allowed to do. And you are allowed to ask for all of the data that's held by a corporation that they are using for you. So I'm going to show you it now. Let's have a quick look. You can see now that this is the GDPR website and it is on Article 15. It's not my website. It's not anybody's website that I know. This is the GDPR website. So look what it says there. Article 15, rights of access by the data subject. You are the data subject. They have your data. The data subject shall have the right to obtain from the controller, that's who's dealing with your data, confirmation as to whether or not personal data concerning him or her are being processed, and where that is the case, access to the personal data and the following information: A, the purposes of the processing; B, the categories of the personal data concerned; C, the recipients or categories of recipients to whom the personal data has been or will be disclosed, in particular recipients in third countries or international organizations, and so on. I'm not going to go through all of it. You can go and check it up and read it, but it's telling you there you are allowed, right, your rights of access by the data subject. So you can do what's called an SAR, all right, a subject access request. Again, you are the subject. So it tells you you can do that. You don't need to make anything up. You don't need to send in multiple notices being crazy with it. You just need to ask for your data that they have under Article 15 of the GDPR. And it shows you on their website. Nobody invented it. It's nobody's intellectual property or IP. It's on these websites that are set up for these regulations. So there you see it on the GDPR website. It tells you under Article 15, you are allowed to ask for your data. How do you do it? Well, there's no set formula, but they prefer it in writing. It says that later on. I'm going to show you the ICO website. That means the Information Commissioner's Office. That is the one that deals with all of these subject access requests. This is the one that actually deals with the data requests or your GDPR and the regulations when they're actually dealing with debt collectors. So let's go and have a look at their website. So here we go, ico.org.uk. We can see it up at the top, right of access. So it tells you at a glance, individuals have the right to access and receive a copy of their personal data and other supplementary information. This is commonly referred to as a subject access request, or SAR. Individuals can make SARs verbally or in writing, including via social media. A third party can also make an SAR on behalf of another person. In most circumstances, you cannot charge a fee to deal with the request. You should respond without delay. This is them talking to the actual debt collectors here. Within 1 month of receipt of the request. Read that again. You should respond without delay and within 1 month of receipt of the request. That is them talking actually to the debt collectors themselves. So let's go back. The ico.org.uk, rights of access. Again, at the top, individuals have the right to access and receive a copy of their personal data and other supplementary information. This is commonly referred to as a subject access request, or SAR. So again, you've had it. You've had a look at the GDPR website. It's telling you what you're allowed to do and how you can do it. Then you're looking at the Information Commissioner's Office website, the ICO, and they're telling you you also have the right to access your data. If they're dealing with it, then they actually have to show you it. There you go. It tells you on there. Now, again, you actually have the right to compensation as well. And it tells you on there. I'm going to go over some more articles, all on the website of GDPR or the ICO. Not my website, not anyone else's website. It tells you everything you need to do. All you've got to do is research it and read it, and you've actually got what you can do to grab your own data. So here again, if we look up there, we are on GDPR website. So we are looking at Article 77 of GDPR, the right to lodge a complaint with the supervisory authority. So number 1, without prejudice to any other administrative or judicial remedy, every data subject shall have the right to lodge a complaint with a supervisory authority, in particular in the member state of his or her habitual residence, place of work, or place of the alleged infringement, if the data subject considers that the processing of personal data relating to him or her infringes this regulation. Number 2, the supervisory authority with which the complaint has been lodged shall inform the complainant on the progress and the outcome of the complaint, including the possibility of judicial remedy pursuant to Article 78. Now, you have to be very specific when you are doing your SAR, subject access request. I have seen people doing an SAR, and there is literally about 20 odd questions. It's madness. We're talking about unsecured debt. We're talking about credit card bills here, or bank loans. Therefore, if they have sold it, which they haven't, then they are saying that they've passed it over, and they will call it a notice of assignment. So these debt collection agencies, they will send you a letter, and it will say this is a notice of assignment, because they like to use the word assignment, trying to fool you that it's a deed of assignment, which is a legal document. It's only a letter. And they're saying, this is a notice of assignment from me saying that you now owe me all this money because we've bought it. And that's fine, as long as they actually show you the proof. What in? The receipt. What is the receipt? In the case of a debt, it will be the legally executed deed of assignment. And it comes under the Law of Property Act 1925, which says it needs to be in writing. And also under the Law of Property Act Miscellaneous Provisions 1989, which shows them how it must be signed. It must be signed by the CEO of the bank and also witnessed by them at the same time, right? So they have to have their signature witnessed. Let's have a think about this. So let's just say Lloyd's Bank, Barclays Bank, the CEO, I bet he's never been in a bank, the CEO of these banks. So he's sitting in his office in the middle of London, in their head office, and he's got 2,000 notices that he has to actually sign, or 2,000 legally executed deeds of assignment. Once he signed it, it's legally executed. He's going to sit there and sign all of them, is he? Of course he's not. It's madness. He can't do it. That's probably what they did back in the day. But now when it's just commercially so huge, it is not viable. So they don't do it. They sell blocks of data. They sell probably millions of pounds worth of debt in one switch of a button. And then it goes off, and then whoever's bought that debt, if it's £10,000, they'll be buying it for about £200. And then what they do is they send it out geographically, the debt collecting agency, to everybody. We can fight this by using our SARs. They are very, very powerful, and you can all do it, and you don't need anyone's permission to do it, and you don't need anybody to give people thousands of pounds to do it. You can do it. Go and have a look at all of my actual videos on there that deal with debt, and you can click down the templates. We're going to create a template now today using ChatGPT. Actually, I've been showing here like Article 82 as well, your right to compensation and liability. So this is our Article 82 from GDPR. So what we're going to do, this is ChatGPT. So I am going to go on here and I'm going to click on the button. Now, what shall we ask for? Okay, so we are going to want to create an SAR. Create a subject. I'll put subject access request, right? So it doesn't get confused. It's only artificial intelligence. Create subject access request to a debt collection agency that alleges they have purchased my debt from a credit card. I wish to see all of my data, specifically the legally executed deed of assignment showing that it has been legally executed under Law of Property Act 1989, miscellaneous provisions. Now what else would say? So we'll say create it in a fashion that a barrister create SAR so it is legally valid and will allow on to a complaint and file in. That seems to be a decent prompt, I think. Let's have a look. We click the button and we will show you what it comes up with. So it has come up and it says, certainly below is a professionally crafted subject access request that you can use to request all your personal data from a debt collection agency, including the legally executed deed of assignment. This template is designed to be clear, comprehensive, following the legal requirements under GDPR and relevant UK laws. Very handy. So I'm going to copy this out and then I am going to print it on a Word document and show you it. So I have had that created by ChatGPT. I've asked them to do it like professionally, like a barrister would, using a subject access request to send to a debt collection agency. Let's upload the document and have a quick check at it. And here we go. Obviously, it's just stating off there your name and address and their name and address. the data protection officer, right? So whoever that is, you can sort out at the top. It starts subject access request under Article 15 of the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the Data Protection Act 2018. Dear Sir, Madam, I am writing to formally request access to all personal data that you hold on me in accordance with my rights under Article 15 of the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the Data Protection Act 2018. 1. Personal data request. Please provide me with a copy of all personal data you hold about me. This includes, but is not limited to, details of any debt you allege I owe, including the full history and documentation of the debt. A copy of the legally executed deed of assignment for the debt you claim to have purchased. This should include evidence of the legal transfer of the debt from the original creditor to your agency, as required under the Law of Property Act 1989, miscellaneous provisions, and the Law of Property Act 1925. All correspondence between myself and your agency, including electronic communications. Any internal records or notes related to my case. Details of any decisions or actions taken based on my data, including but not limited to actions affecting my credit report or legal actions taken against me. 2. Proof of the legally executed deed of assignment. As the deed of assignment is a critical document confirming the legal transfer of the debt, I specifically request the following: a copy of the executed deed of assignment that includes all relevant details such as signatures from all parties involved, the date of execution, and any relevant contract numbers or references. Response timeline. Please respond to this request within 1 month of receipt as stipulated under GDPR. If you require any additional information or clarification to fulfill this request, please notify me promptly. 4. Further actions. Please note that if you fail to comply with this request or the information provided is incomplete or unsatisfactory, I reserve the right to escalate this matter to the Information Commissioner's office and/or seek legal redress. Please acknowledge this receipt of this request and confirm whether you will comply with it. I look forward to your prompt response. Yours faithfully, blah, blah, blah. That is a very good and precise SAR. They're not going to go on to with dozens and dozens of questions. Prove the debt. Was it a promissory note? Where is it gone? Did you create it? Did I create it? We're not arguing the law. We're not arguing the jurisdiction. We're not arguing the facts. All we want to know is, are they following GDPR? So now they have to actually give us all of our data, including the legally executed deed of assignment. That is it. You don't want anything else. You don't care about anything else. They have not got a legally executed deed of assignment, but they've alleged they have. That's the whole point. They've alleged they've bought it. You cannot buy property in the United Kingdom without the legally executed deed. Be this a deed of assignment or a deed that goes on the land registry. It's all property. It's all classed in UK law as property. A debt is property. It is a thing. So if they have not purchased that legally with a legally executed deed of assignment, they have no chosen action. So therefore, the debt company cannot take you to court, but they always try because they are trying to kid you, trick you, lie to you that they've got a legally executed deed of assignment and they have not. So you can use GDPR to its full power to protect you from prosecution from a lie that these debt collectors are actually using. So generally what happens when you send off that SAR to the debt collector? Well, generally they will send back and they're going to tell you all sorts of ridiculous things like, well, here's your SAR and here I've seen them kill a tree and send piles of paper this big from every single account they've had, a statement of everything. They send you the whole thing except the legally executed deed of assignment because they haven't got one. What they say is like, you're not allowed to see that. You're not allowed to see the legally executed deed of assignment. I've actually seen them say, well, there's no details of you in the legally executed deed of assignment, so you can't see it. Well, if it's selling a debt and it hasn't got any of my details on, how is it my debt that you've sold then or bought then? That makes no sense whatsoever. That is a pure lie. Then they say, well, it's got sensitive information on, it's got commercial information on. No, it's only a sale between us and them. You don't need to see that. The legally executed deed of assignment under the Law of Property Act must be done for there to be a legally assigned piece of property. And the debt is property, classed as property in UK legislation. So there's no getting around it. They are trying to obfuscate, like the people who tell you you're not allowed to use GDPR unless you pay them thousands of pounds to let them do it for you, all right? And no one else is allowed to do it except them, all right? obfuscation, confusion, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The debt collectors are using it. The government agencies are using it. The government's using it. And so are these people that call themselves truthers that are trying to obfuscate, muddy the waters and make a mess of things so they make more money and you don't. So he's showing you here. I've just used ChatGPT. I'm going to attach that one to this actual video. You can use it free to everyone. They've just shown you how to do it. If you haven't got ChatGPT, then use that one. If you have got it or know someone who's got it, say, look, stick this in. Tell them to do it like a barrister. Tell them how, so it's got to be legal. And that's what it's going to come up with. So what do you do when they send you this thing and say you can't say the SAR? That is a breach of your data by concealment. So they have sent a non-compliant response. You don't care what anyone else is saying. So what you're going to do is you're going to send them a reminder. If it's either 1 month with no reply or they replied with nonsense like, no, you're not seeing your legally executed deed of assignment. It's got sensitive information in. You're not allowed to see it, naughty little person. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually send the second one saying, I'm really upset that you're not following your legal obligations to send me all of my data, including the specific one. Repeat it. Repeat all the questions again. There's only really one question and the surrounding information on the legally executed deed of assignment, and tell them you've got 7 days to supply it now, or I'm going to complain to the ICO. This is the UK version. Everyone will have their own version in every country of an information commissioner's office that you can complain to about data. Find out yours if you're not from the United Kingdom. So you're going to send off a complaint to the ICO. They're not going to care because they think they're dead clever. So then we're going to send a complaint to the ICO. I've got videos on the channel to show you how to actually fill in the complaint on the ICO website. So go and watch that. File a complaint, but then don't wait for them to reply. Don't wait for a response. They're actually inundated with it anyway, and they can't cope with things. So as soon as you've made the actual complaint to the ICO, send them whatever you want to call it. A notice before action, a notice before claim, a letter before action, a letter before. You make it up and you do whatever you want. Let's go and have a look at ChatGPT and see what they can make for us, shall we? On here, this is the first one that they created for us. This is the actual SAR, yeah? So let's get the bottom of here and we'll put this in. All right, so what shall we put on for this prompt then? Let's just say the collection agency did not any information concerning the legally executed deed of assignment. They said refuse to send it to me. Create what shall we call it? A notice before action to commence legal proceedings, spell that correctly, against the debt collector of my data as in concealment of data. Remind them of their legal obligation to supply all data, including the legally executed deed assignment, and that we will commence legal proceedings against them for distress and inconvenience due to their breach. Now I'm going to say again, create the notice in a fashion that let's say a professional barrister, shall we? A professional barrister would use, so that it proceed further to court action. Let's see what comes up with that. So here we go. It says there, certainly, below is a professionally drafted notice before action letter. This letter is intended to formally notify the debt collection agency of your intention to pursue legal action due to their failure to comply with your subject access request, SAR, and to provide the legally executed deed of assignment. It sets out the basis for your claim and provides them with a final opportunity to rectify the situation before you proceed with legal action. So I'm going to copy this out, people, and I will put it on a Word document so you can read it correctly. So let's go over there and we'll have a look at the actual notice that's been created by ChatGPT in the fashion that a barrister would do it, getting ready for legal action against the breach that these debt collectors are actually putting on us. So let's have a look at the key points first. It says, number one, formal demand, clear demand for specific action. Number two, legal obligations, citation of GDPR and relevant laws. Number three, impact and remedy, description of distress and potential legal remedies. Number 4, time frame, 7-day deadline for compliance. Number 5, legal action, notification of impending legal action if demands are not met. This notice is designed to be assertive and comprehensive, providing the debt collection agency with a final opportunity to rectify their breach before legal proceedings are initiated. Notice before action for breach of data protection regulations. Dear Sir, Madam, introduction. I am writing to formally notify you of my intention to commence legal proceedings against your agency due to your failure to comply with my previous subject access request, SAR, made under Article 15 of the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the Data Protection Act 2018. This notice serves as a formal demand for you to address this matter promptly. Background. On whatever date, I submitted a subject access request to your agency requesting access to all personal data you hold about me, including the legally executed deed of assignment pertaining to the debt you claim to have purchased. Despite my clear and reasonable request, you have failed to provide this crucial document and have stated that you refuse to supply it. Number 3, legal obligations. Under GDPR, specifically Article 15, you are legally required to provide access to all personal data held about an individual. This includes any documentation related to the legal assignment of a debt, as stipulated under the Law of Property Act 1989 miscellaneous provisions and the Law of Property Act 1925. Your failure to provide this information constitutes a breach of your legal obligation. Number 4 is your impact of breach, what it does to you. Your refusal to provide the requested information has caused me significant distress and inconvenience. The concealment of this data not only impedes my ability to verify the legitimacy of the debt, but also exacerbates my concerns regarding the potential inaccuracies in my financial records and the potential impact on my credit rating. That sounds powerful, doesn't it? Number 5, demand for immediate action. In light of the above, I formally demand that you, 1, provide a complete copy of the legally executed deed of assignment, including all relevant details and documentation, within 7 days of the receipt of this notice. 2, confirm in writing that you will comply with this demand and that you will address any other outstanding issues related to my data. Then, number 6, legal proceedings. Should you fail to comply with these demands within the stipulated time frame, I will have no choice but to initiate legal proceedings against your agency for the following claims. 1, breach of GDPR and Data Protection Act 2018 for failing to provide access to personal data as legally required. Number 2, distress and inconvenience for the emotional and practical impact caused by your non-compliance. I will be seeking appropriate remedies and compensation for these breaches, which may include damages for distress caused and any other relevant legal costs. Please acknowledge receipt of this notice and confirm your intention to comply with the demands stated herein. Failure to respond or to take appropriate action will result in immediately legal action taking place or being taken. Yours faithfully, Bloody Bleed. So there you have it. A notice before action, a letter before action, a letter before claim, a notice before claim, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter to me whatsoever. But look, I've just created it there. I'm going to attach it as well onto this video, as well as the initial SAR. They are legally designed, right? They will fit perfectly with legal and with what they call the civil procedures used and your pre-action protocols. You're warning them exactly what you're going to do. You're giving them a chance to actually remedy it, remedy the situation, and telling them if they don't remedy the situation, you're going to put in legal proceedings against them. It's perfectly within your rights, and you're actually explaining it properly, detail by detail. You have every right to do this. It's perfectly within your rights. Now, what happens now after you send this second one, I would actually send an intent to prosecute, which is just a second reminder. It would be identical to that. And I would just say, here is my intent to prosecute if you do not follow these instructions, or if you do not provide what we're asking for, and just repeat exactly what that says. So you're giving them a second bite of the cherry, or a third bite, really, because you sent the SER, then the notice, you've complained to the ICO, and then the ICO should have wrote to them as well and said, look, they're complaining about you. You haven't sent this. Make sure you send it. So they've actually had 1, ICO 2, then the letter before action, notice before action, notice before claim, whatever you want to call it. 3, I'd send them 1 more saying, look, final bite of the cherry, then I'm filing an N1. Then I would go in to file the N1. Depending on who it is, what happens is you file an N1, which is a claim form, small claims. So you would send that off to the court. It's actually not a court, it's the business center, civil business center. But they have an office full of Agnes is in the office. They'll deal with it and they'll send it off, the claim off to the debt collection agency. Depending on how bad they are, there are some really bad ones. They will actually file a defense. So they'll send in the defense, and then you'll actually have to file, or sorry, you'll have to complete a form N180 to actually say, yes, right, we're ready to fight this case. We want it to be heard by a judge. We want it to be in a court. What court do you prefer? Well, it's going to be where you live, blah, blah, blah. You have to fill in that N180 because, you know, if it's some of these, I've seen some really horrendous replies. I've even had threats get sent to people saying, you know, make sure you take this claim out there, or we're going to sue you for extra costs, or we're going to be this, you are incompetent, blah, blah, blah. Really horrible. But that's what they're trying to obfuscate, all right? They're trying to confuse you. They're giving you FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You stand in your square. You know that you are legally correct. You know you have these rights. So you actually make sure that you follow this through. What you're going to do is you're going to file for compensation. Now, they have now with this splitting it off, I think it's something called money online claim. You're not allowed to actually put all the details in that one. I prefer sticking with the N1. You can put all of your evidence in, show them you've done the SAR. There it is. There's the response. Not compliant. They did not supply the deed of assignment, the legally executed deed of assignment. There's my second one. There's my ICO complaint. There's my letter before action and notice before action, whatever you want to call it. And there's your last one, another bite of the cherry saying, please supply this information or you're causing so much distress. I am going to put in for compensation and legal remedy. So that's all your evidence. And then you're showing them any replies you have, which are non-compliant replies if they haven't got the legally executed deed of assignment attached to them. It's non-compliant. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter that they send you a blank deed of assignment. I've had one company send it and it was huge, about 200 pages. And we do this and we do that. And this is the bank and that's the bank and this is us. Not a single signature on it. No account numbers on it. Their details weren't on it. Nothing was on it. It was a blank document. About as much use as a chocolate teapot. That it's a non-compliant response. So this is you getting that ready there. Now, the last time that we did it, the actual debt company didn't even turn up to court. So you get a judgment. You don't have to go into court, right? The judges will not make any speeches about it. You'll never see the judge. Nothing will happen. You'll get a phone call saying, right, what's happening. It's a default judgment. You just get it stamped. As soon as you get it stamped, you're going to file another form. It's called an N244. And you're going to send that default judgment up to the High Court. Why? Because you want a High Court writ. When you get a High Court writ, I think it was about £60 odd that you have to pay. Once you pay for the High Court writ, you get the High Court writ, unless there's something really wrong with it, and you will get it. Now you can then send High Court enforcement agents or a High Court enforcement officer even, the higher up one. That's a real bailiff, shall we call it, to the debt collecting company. Now, because it's a company, a corporation, the High Court enforcement officer can just walk straight into their office as soon as they're open and demand that money. So you put in there, so your £5,000 plus whatever costs that are involved. So that can actually be, and they can just go in, stop them, right? Stop working. You either pay this amount of money now, or I'm taking all your equipment to cover the costs. That is a High Court writ. That is a true bailiff with true power that can go into a corporation and shut them down until they get your money. How does that sound? That is how you can actually operate. That is how you can use GDPR. Don't let anybody tell you that I can't tell you how to do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to go and pay fortunes to actually get the access to what is your rights. You just need to do research, find out what your rights are. Listen to these videos. Go onto the internet and research it. You don't have to go and pay fortunes to these people. Now, if you want, you can join our private group. You should join our private group, and then we can actually help you. You'll get a massive support from a group of people that are friendly, supportive. They're well-researched themselves. They're great weekly meetings. We'll meet every week and we chat about it, and it's good fun and everyone's helpful. There's no nastiness. There's no ego. Right? There's no like narcissist trying to actually control everything. Everyone has fun. Everyone's puts in their 10 pence worth, and everybody helps each other. Then you get support. Obviously, if you're doing it on your own, you're not going to get that support. But I'm giving you all of these templates that have just been created legally by ChatGPT. They're all on this video. Get them, go in and enjoy them. Fight these debt collectors because they are not buying your debt. They are not buying your debt. They are buying block data without a legally executed deed of assignment. A debt under UK law is a thing. It is property and it comes under the Law of Property Act. Therefore, any transfer, any assignment can only happen legally with a deed. In this case, because it's a debt, a deed of assignment. Enjoy. Make sure you subscribe. Join our private group if you want. But go on there and join my mailing list as well, and you'll get all of this information. We send them all out, and there it is. It's all attached to you there for free. Enjoy it. Take care. Hey, look, I'm even getting vitamin D coming in. I'm going to go and stand in the grass, do some grounding in bare feet, get some vitamin D on you, and I hope you enjoy it all there and go and fight these debt collectors. Get in, you man.